Welcome everyone to another video about NPAS Unreal Engine plugin. Today I'll be showing you how to implement dialogues using the plugin and how you can build complex dialogue trees that react dynamically to player choices. So first of all, let's have a look at the scene. Right now I have a skeletal mesh blueprint actor placed in the level. This is our NPC, and at the moment it's just a visual character. There's no interaction logic attached. And in this session what we're going to do is to make this actor interactable, so when the player approaches and interacts, we can start a conversation. So the first thing what we want to do is open up our character and add a component. I'm going to add interactable component, and I'm going to create a new one, and I'm going to call it NPC. Let's open it up. Let's give our NPC a name, and we're going to have one interaction only. I'm going to say talk. For the input mapping, I'm going to choose left mouse button, and for the show interactions on, look at, leave the distance, and modifier we need to change to keep, because we would like to be able to talk multiple times to our NPC. And first things first, of course, you want to run the dialogue, and it's going to be just a simple greeting. So this is from the interactable point of view, but from our first person character point of view, we still need to do one more thing. We need to add a dialogue component, which will be handling the dialogue from the character point of view. So the first thing, we can set the display name. I'm going to set it to John. And also it's very important that it exposes events on dialogue started and on dialogue ended. So every time a dialogue starts and ends, these two events will trigger, so you can hook up your own custom logic, play an audio, play a sequence, play music, at some points maybe move a quest forward, and so on. So once we have that, let's actually see if we can greet the NPC. So we can, but I'm gonna change two things. First of all, I think it's a good practice not to show the outline for NPCs. And also I noticed that the widget is too low because the pivot point for NPC is too low, so I'm gonna just raise it to like 1 meter. Okay, let's add some response options to our character. So in the dialogue responses, let's add one dialogue response, and we're gonna say ask about the dagger. But again, we would like to ask about an item, which means that either we know about the item or we have the item. So it is a conditional. That means that in the response modifiers, we need to add a modifier name on event or item, and this time it will be on item, which is of course the dagger. And you notice also the pin changed the color now to this magenta color, which means it is conditional. So now once we have the dagger and once we have this option, we can run another dialogue. And we're going to say, and in this dialogue we get another piece of information about the village, and let's say we would like to ask some detail about the village. So how do we implement this? The first thing that we need to do is to actually register that information. And this is very similar to the item inventory, where we register item in order later to make conditional choices. This is the very same, but we're going to add an event. So with this node, we would like to register and track that event in order to use it later when we are implementing some conditional logic. But in order to use that, we need another component on our person character, which is event invent. So it's very similar to item inventory, but it registers and tracks and potentially, of course, unregisters and untracks events. Once we have this and once we have that event registered, now we can use it to make conditional choices in our dialogue. So we want to go back to our response box. Now we would like to ask about that that village. So we need another dialog response. And of course conditional, based on the information that we just received. But this time on event, and it's going to be the event that we registered here. And let's just run another dialog in this case. Since we already have this event registered and we can use it for conditional logic, let's do one more thing. The whole point of this dialog is to get that piece of information here. So if our character already has this information, there is no point of running the dialog. So let's implement that using inventory gateway. This time we would like to have a condition based on an event. So this event that we registered when the dialog is done. So if we already have that information, let's run another dialog. And let's say just never mind. If we don't, let's run the dialog. So this is how it looks like, and let's just test it. So first I'm going to talk without a dagger. And the conversation stops because there is nothing to talk about, because we have nothing to talk about. So let's talk again. Now, because we have the dagger, we can ask about it. And then we get the information about the village. Then we go back to our response box, and now we can ask about the village. So now, since we already have this information, let's try to talk again. And we get never mind, because the character already has this information, so there is no point of running dialogue again. That would conclude the demo. I hope that was useful, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you very much.